All right, let's talk about something fascinating. Luxury watches as an investment. For years, it seemed like a sure thing, right? A beautiful asset you could actually wear. But wow, has that changed? A massive market correction has thrown everything into question, leaving us all with one huge, looming question.
Let's just ask it straight up. Is the luxury watch bubble well and truly over? I mean, after years of prices that just went vertical, the market hit a brick wall. And now, pretty much everyone is wondering if the party's officially done. And just how bad was it? Well, get this. Over the last 2 years, the 50 most traded luxury watches on the secondary market, they didn't just dip, they plummeted. We're talking a staggering 48% drop. That's not a correction, that's a free fall.
So yeah, let's break down what everyone is calling the Great Watch Correction. Because to really get a handle on where we are now, and more importantly, where we might be going, you have to understand how we got here in the first place. It's a story of a wild boom followed by a pretty painful bust.
It has been a total roller coaster. From 2020 to 2022, you had all this pandemic money floating around and prices just went to the moon. It was crazy. Then bam, 2023 hits and it was a brutal year. Prices fell and they fell hard. But here's the interesting part. Since then, the losses have slowed way down. That free fall has stopped, which suggests the market might have finally found its floor.
So a huge crash like that, does it mean you should just run for the hills? Or, and this is the important part, could it actually be the perfect entry point for smart investors? We're going to look at 3 solid reasons why 2025 might actually be a year to be optimistic.
Okay, so the case for being cheerful really boils down to 3 major shifts. First, what collectors are actually buying is changing, and it's changing for the better. Second, the whole center of the watch-buying universe is moving. And third, there's some big economic changes coming down the pike that could pour gasoline on the whole market.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to what Austin Chu, the CEO of WristCheck, has to say. He's seeing that the crazy obsession with just a few IT models is cooling off. People are now buying a wider range of amazing brands like Omega and Cartier. Why does that matter? Because it creates a much healthier, more stable market that isn't built on hype alone.
The second big reason is all about geography. The power is shifting east. It's official. China and Hong Kong have blown past the United States to become the #1 importers of Swiss watches. And that's not the end of the story. All the insiders are now looking at India as the next potential giant. Asia could seriously be the engine that drives this whole recovery.
And finally, let's talk about the big one, money. For the last year and a half, high interest rates have made everything more expensive and really put a damper on luxury spending. But the forecasts are now pointing to interest rate cuts in the US. What does that mean? It means more cash could start flowing back into assets like watches. For anyone thinking of getting in, this could be a massive discount opportunity before things potentially take off again. Okay, so we've got some reasons to be hopeful. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't mean you can just go buy any old watch and expect it to make you money. Even in a good market, there's a clear hierarchy, a pecking order. If you want to invest smartly, you absolutely have to understand the different tiers of these brands.
At the very top of the mountain, you've got what's known as the Holy Trinity. These are the undisputed heavyweights, the titans of the watch world, Patek Philippe, Rolex, and Audemars Piguet. For decades, these 3 have been the kings.
But even the kings took a hit. And what's really interesting is that they weren't hit equally. During that 2023 correction, Patek prices fell by a pretty hefty 14%. Rolex, on the other hand, while still down, was way more resilient, dropping only about 8%. It's a perfect reminder that even at the very top, brand strength really matters.
Now, beyond those traditional giants, there's this other super interesting group, the resilient innovators. These are the rule breakers, the hypermodern brands that played a completely different game, and because of that, managed to ride out the storm much better than most.
And the best example, hands down, is Richard Mille. Think about it. While other big brands make tens of thousands of watches a year, Richard Mille makes only about 5,000 total. That strategy of extreme scarcity, mixed with their wild designs and A-list celebrity fans, means demand is always higher than supply. That's how they kept their values so well, even when everything else was tumbling. All right, we've talked about the crash, the signs of a comeback, and the different brand tiers. So what are the actual practical things you need to know? This next part is your essential cheat sheet. First things first, there's one word you absolutely have to burn into your brain: provenance.
It's just a fancy way of saying the watch's history on paper. The original box, the receipt, service records, all of it. And here's the bottom line. A watch with its complete papers is always, always worth more. No papers, less value. It's that simple.
So here it is. Let's put it all together in a final checklist. When you're looking at any watch as a potential investment, it really just comes down to these 4 things. The manufacturer, is it a respected brand? The condition, is it beat up or pristine? That all-important provenance, has it got the box and papers? And finally, rarity. Is it a limited edition or a model they don't make anymore? Nail these 4 and you're on the right track.
Which, brings us all the way back to the beginning. After a massive shakeup, the luxury watch market looks like it's finding its feet. We've got new buyers, changing tastes, and favorable economic winds on the horizon. But the risk is absolutely still there. So, is that watch on your wrist a timeless asset, or is it a ticking time bomb? Well, the truth is, the answer really depends on whether you've done your homework.